Germany 1919 to 1923. This period of German history is one of great challenges and threats to the newly formed Weimar Republic. In January 1919, a group called the Spartacists tried to overthrow the government. The Spartacists are a left-wing communist group, and they want to get rid of the new Weimar Republic and install a communist leadership instead. The leaders of the Spartacist Revolt are Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht, and the revolt takes place in Berlin. The revolt fails. It fails because they haven't got enough support and because the Freikorps, a group of ex-soldiers who are right-wing and hate the communists, defeat them on behalf of the Weimar government. This is not because the Freikorps love the Weimar government, but just because they hate the communists more. So therefore, they're willing to help the Weimar government out in the short term by defeating the communists. If we skip forward to March 1920, we get the Kapp Putsch. The Kapp Putsch involves those same Freikorps. The Freikorps also dislike the Weimar government. They want to install a new government and get rid of the old one. They're also worried because the Weimar government wants to shut down these Freikorps groups, these groups of ex-soldiers, and take away their weapons, take away their guns, and close them down. And they don't like it. So for both those reasons, in 1920, in March, Dr. Wolfgang Kapp leads 5,000 Freikorps on a march through Berlin. Again, the idea is to overthrow the government and install a new one. This time, the revolt, the putsch, is defeated by the people. Berlin goes on general strike. Post offices shut down, transport shuts down, which shows Kapp that he hasn't got enough support for his revolt, and because the city's come to a standstill, and because he hasn't got enough support, the Kapp Putsch fails. Now, whereas Rosa Luxemburg and Karl Liebknecht were executed, Wolfgang Kapp was just put into prison. Either way, they both failed, but for different reasons. In 1922, Walter Rathenau, the foreign minister, was assassinated. Another example of people not liking and disapproving of the Weimar government. The third putsch takes place in November in 1923. The Munich Putsch, led by Adolf Hitler, takes place in Munich in Bavaria. Hitler thinks he's got enough support to overthrow the government and take control of Germany for himself. This isn't the case, as we'll see later on, and all that happens is that the police find out and 16 Nazis get shot as Hitler tries to march through Munich to take control of Germany at the end. The three revolts all fail, but for different reasons. The third revolt was in 1923, and 1923 was a particular year of crisis for the Weimar government. In January 1923, the Ruhr area of Germany is invaded by France and by Belgium. The French and the Belgians want their compensation from World War I. Under the Treaty of Versailles, the Allies are due to be paid £6.6 billion by Germany. In 1922, Germany paid their first £50 million instalment. But by early 1923, that next instalment hasn't been paid. Because the French in particular are desperate to get money and reparations from Germany, and that wasn't coming in financial form, they invade the Ruhr area of Germany. They send workers to go and work in the Ruhr area of Germany as the Germans there have gone on strike. The Germans have gone on strike and have been paid by the German government not to work. This is very, very silly by the German government because not only are they not getting any income from the Ruhr, they're now losing money doubly because they're actually paying the workers not to work. This is why the French bring in their own workers to go and work in the Ruhr area to extract goods instead of money. They try and take whatever money they can find as well, but they're basically trying to take as much goods in place of money as they can. The Germans, in response, follow a policy of passive resistance, whereby they don't fight back, they just down their tools and refuse to work. Even though this was supposed to be a peaceful idea, 130 Germans were killed under this idea. Germany was losing money. Because of the Ruhr incident, because of lack of income, because of paying the workers' wages, Germany was running out of money. So the government decided to print more money. They print more money and more money and more money of higher and higher and higher values. And all that happens is this plan backfires badly and creates a situation of hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is where money becomes worthless. And because all Germany are doing is printing more and more notes of a higher and higher value, that money literally isn't worth the paper it's printed on. Some Germans have to collect their wages twice a day. Some do so in wheelbarrows. Some give the wages to their children to play with instead of buying money because it's cheaper. Others will use it as fuel in their stoves rather than buying fuel. All of which causes prices to spiral out of control. People's savings are wiped out, people lose their homes, people lose their jobs. It's an economic disaster. One egg, which would have cost a quarter of a mark in 1918, is now in November 1923 costing 80 million marks. The price increase is absolutely huge. It's because of this price increase and because of the increase in support that Hitler was getting for his party that he tried the Munich Putsch in 1923. The year of crisis of 1923 was only resolved really by Stresemann. The Munich Putsch never had enough support to succeed. The police and the army put that down. But Stresemann did two things. The first thing he did was he put the Ruhr back to work. He called off the passive resistance so they could get money coming back again. And he went on to introduce a new currency called the Rentenmark. So, we've got 1919 to 23. We've got the three revolts, the Spartacist Revolt, the Kapp Putsch and the Munich Putsch. And we've got 1923 itself being a key year of crisis with hyperinflation caused by the Ruhr Crisis and the Munich Putsch. Stresemann is the person that saves the day by putting the Ruhr back to work and introducing a new currency.